So while I'm working, I do a lot of listening and watching on YouTube. A lot of it is just stuff where I hopefully can just listen and not have to watch. You know, sometimes there's those videos where you end up listening, but realize that you also have to watch the screen. Let's see. I just need to sit down. Being on your feet or knees all day. Oh man, nice to take the shoes off. Oh, my wife is probably gonna be pissed. Hey Eric, how's it going? I'm just trying to find a place for this, and I don't think I can. Yeah. Oh, I know. I've got boxes. Duh. Alright. So, if you want to watch something, I suggest watching, shoot, what was the name of it? It's something Secret Societies. Give me 1 second. I think it's just called Secret Societies, no, it's not what I mean, Pat Hacker. Talking about, interesting stuff. It's, if you look at like secret societies, hidden in plain sight, there's a 3.5 hour documentary. It goes into some pretty cool stuff. And some of the stuff that it talks about is numbers, and the importance of numbers in all the occultism stuff that you see in plain sight, hidden in plain sight. You know, I do talk about this a lot. I look into it a lot, but when I'm working, I'm thinking, wow, so much of this kind of fight off against each other. The entire Christianity movement, is it a part of the occultism stuff? That's where I'm trying to figure out. Another thing is, blah blah. For example, one of the cool things that you watch is there's actually a pope named Sixtus V. 6/5 is like a big thing, and all this stuff is kind of originated through Egypt, probably even further beyond, you know, to the first civilization, which we call Mesopotamia, and of course the first city was Heliopolis. Anyways, 6,660, is it feet, I think? No, inches. Something like that. Ends up being like 555 feet. I might get this wrong, but just look into it, and it's crazy. And you've got the entire, the six, hexagon, plus a star, a 5-sided star, all that into certain building aspects, layouts. Again, 6/5, and then if you calculate 6/5, it talks about pi and phi. And yes, I am Titus. I've got the underlayment. Let's see. And then you've got the distance of the sun, because all the stuff with the entire hidden plain sight stuff is a lot of coincidences. I mean, it has to do with numbers, it has to do with math. And when you go ahead and do the math, go and do the research, find it for yourself, and you're gonna be like, all right, it's either coincidence or they found power in that number, and that's power in that equation, and figure, you know what, we're gonna base a religion off of this, if they can call it a religion. It's basically, I don't know, it's not just sun worship, it's not just moon worship. Those are just symbols that create power for, I guess, their belief system. Yeah, esoteric mathematics, you can go and call it that, blah blah. I think it's very interesting that the sun is what, 100, certain amount of distance, and then the moon is a certain amount of distance, and that we have just the 400 is a pretty crazy number, because we are the moon, we are 400. Let me get this right. The moon is 400 times smaller than the Earth. Is that right? I think that's right. Maybe I'm wrong. But the Earth also spins 400 times faster than the moon rotates around the Earth. Anyways, the distance of the Earth to the sun, from the moon to the Earth is like 400 times. Anyways, that's kind of why we get that perfect eclipse that blots out everything. I just think that's pretty interesting, and I can see why that there's just so much out there that has to do with design, with architecture, has to do with specs out of just distance, and a lot of symbolism from Egypt and probably beyond, and it's just too coincidental. I'm not saying that I subscribe to the entire belief system. That's not me. And that's another thing. I think when you see the people who really hate on this whole son of a gun. All right, here we go. Sorry, just reception isn't that great still. When you see all the hate from the Christian side to this, I guess, paganism, occultism, whatever you call it. Some of them even call it either agnosticism or Gnosticism or atheism. But it's not atheism. Atheism is belief in nothing. Freemasons won't even accept you unless you believe in something. So I see, that's the thing I don't get yet, the entire religious part. But then if you go into other people who talk about how religion fits in all of this, look at Gemstone University and Ken Cousins, his stuff. It's pretty crazy, crazy like good work. Oops, I don't want to use that sign. Crazy good work. Yeah. But it's interesting. It's either all accidental or it's all part of the design. And yeah, whether or not it's just it's not, if it's coincidental, it's just made to fit into it's just random numbers that just got out there, random length, random width, random height, random depth, whatever. The thing is, it's not random. It's too coincidental. So it's built to specifications for a purpose. And when you look at all the designs that are out there, building-wise, monuments-wise, statue-wise, paintings even, you'll see the degrees, the numerology, all of that stuff. And just to have it so it's random, no, I don't believe in that. There's too many things that don't happen in random chance. There's just not. I mean, even when putting on these floorboards, just that something would fit exactly to the specifications that's here, it's not going to happen. And to have that happen all over the place by different architects, different, I guess, stonemasons, freemasons, and mathematicians, everything, engineers. Nope, it's humans design things for a particular reason, and when you're talking about certain areas of importance of power, either political power or wealth or whatever, a lot of it's secret. You see the same thing everywhere, same symbolism, the same occultism, the same things that are out there in every power structure. Maybe you won't see it out on, you know, little dinky towns, town hall, but you will see it in state capitals. You'll see it in the country's capital. You'll see it in the state of London. Is that what they call it? City of London, which isn't part of London. But anyways, I think all of that factors into something that people should be aware of and look into. Hey, if you don't want to, that's fine. If you just say it's just one big conspiracy theory, that's also fine. But the entire point is look into it. When corporate mainstream media tells you it's conspiracy theory, do you believe them? I don't think so. You don't believe mainstream media anyways. I mean, that's why you're here, and that's why you listen to watch all the people that I guess I used to watch and people still watch, because they're not mainstream media, they're independent media. So there you go. Just those are my thoughts. I know people have a hard time believing, but you know, it's not about believing, it's actually about seeing. It's actually about doing the equations, doing the tests. Like when I work on the stairs, and there's different material, I test it out, see what the results are. Just use the scientific method. You see the same thing that people, they call themselves the truthers. I don't know if I'd say I'm a truther, and I just like to investigate stuff and think it out. And some of it just feels, if I feel like I'm trying to figure out what's going on through emotional means, then it's just propaganda. That's exactly what propaganda is. When I start to think logically and try to connect the dots, I think it has merit. I think patterns, we are pattern-based beings, a lot of us. When we don't work on the analytical parts, when we don't have our critical thinking skills, what we base our stuff out is off of pattern-based logic. That's chess. If you play chess, a lot of it's based off of patterns and what you remember about patterns, not necessarily thinking. When you're going up against something new that you haven't seen before, that there wasn't a pattern before that clicks in your head, that right there, that's your analytical thinking taking over. So when you're playing speed chess, you're basically playing with the patterns that you remember in your head, and you're not really thinking analytically. So it's just kind of like a memorization thing of all the patterns that you recognize and what worked and what didn't, and you're just going really fast. How did I get there? Okay, another thing is I saw on YouTube Mr. Gunk. He did one of like 5 strange things about Heath Ledger's death, or things that happened before Heath Ledger's death. And of course, a new bone is thrown out because of, what's that actor's name? He was in Independence Day. He had a brother that died, didn't it? Randy Quaid, that's his name. Where he and his wife let out a statement about the people who, star hitters or something like that, star whackers, I think that's what it was. And he mentioned Heath Ledger, David Carradine, and who's the other one? There's another one. I wish I could remember the name. Just watched the video. It was released earlier today. I think it's right when it talks about pedophilia. Maybe not even just that. When you just see just the patterns. Of course, you even don't have to go with analytical thinking. You can, but then it's just not direct evidence. It's just, what would you do if you're in a position of power and trying to get people from talking? You make sure you got something to blackmail them with. So if the dominoes start falling, everyone falls, and they're going to do everything they can to stop it. So I think that's where you get to the analytical thinking side and not worry about the patterns. But the pattern's there. You can see the pattern in Hollywood, you can see the pattern in government, you can see the pattern in what's another place? Can't remember. I think it might be I can't even remember the term. Like places where you donate. You the patterns are there. The analytical thinking is there. You make sure that you get something incriminating where they're gonna not leak out the information. They're culpable as well whenever you join these situations. Not Salvation Army, Schultzy. Anyways, I would love talking to you guys later if I'm not too tired and someone's doing a show. I wish I could. It's just my internet speed's not that good, as you noticed. I gotta make sure I can find internet. And that's another thing that pisses me off is touts their download speed, but I mean, where the 40 gigs per second download to 100 gigabytes per second download or 1,000 gigabytes per download really doesn't matter, because that's just all the content that you can get, and how much content can you absorb at that speed. You really can't. What really matters is your upload speed, because that's when you are sending data, you are giving out information that you have to people out there. Whether it's live streaming, whether it's doing the Zoom type of live streaming, or just uploading massive amounts of information. Upload speeds where it's more important, because you're just also sharing the things that you found, not necessarily the things that you can think about. So, okay, that's all I want to do. I just want to take a quick break. It went over the 15 minutes, and that's fine. Anyways, I'll talk with you guys later, and find your constant. Don't go down that rabbit hole by yourself. Make sure you've got someone to ground you. Keep it grounded. All right. See you guys. Thanks.